Last time you got your family pictures taken, did you know what to do with your hands? At the National Portrait Gallery in Washington, D.C., there is a painting unlike all other of the 20,000 portraits in the collection. Franklin Roosevelt is portrayed with some very restless hands. It's very different than the prototype of respectable men in fancy chairs. But from first glance, and as the title indicates, this is a sketch. So we see a finished portrait of FDR in the center. His caped, dignified posture is traditional. He is centrally seated and gives eye contact to us, the viewer. He's engaged, pensive, but at ease. And then outside of the sketch, we see the artist exploring, making decisions about things. There's 5 sets of disembodied hands holding spectacles. There's a less elaborate smoking situation. The hands are folded in repose or fiddling with a pen or actively writing. And then looking to the left corner, we see another visible process from Douglas Chander, the artist. There's a pencil sketch of the same FDR posed in that same posture. But here he is seated in a larger outdoor area, flanked by 2 other figures, and I assume assistants milling about. Then above that pencil sketch, we see Douglas Chander's writing. There are explanatory notes about the final version that is to be made from this sketch, and we also see written FDR OK, which is the president's mark of approval. This painting was meant to be a much bigger documentation of the historic conference at Yalta. That was a meeting between 3 powerful world leaders who had together set the post-World War II parameters. There was the US president, like we said, Franklin Roosevelt, British Prime Minister Winston Churchill, and Soviet political leader Joseph Stalin. The final version of these world leaders was meant to be made 3 times, 3 copies for 3 nations represented. There can't be exact pinpointing of why the project was never finished. Chander stated that Stalin was unwilling to sit for the portrait. Also, FDR died of a stroke just 1 month after this sketch was created. So, here is a painting with scribbled, penciled in notes and drawings that plan for a final copy. And hands, all the hands that aren't decided, restless hands. And we can see the artist asking himself, what shall we do with his hands? This moment is a moment of process, of undetermined outcomes, and it leaves me with so much more respect for this man than the chiseled finality of a traditional portrait. The state of transition reminds us that FDR, who laid foundations for our modern country, did not have all the answers at once. When elected into office, no one knew if the New Deal would work. FDR forged through years of World War, not knowing how the tide would turn. Even at the conference at Yalta, for which this was to commemorate, it was not clearly a victory to Roosevelt. He expressed great unease at the level of compromise that he and the West extended to Russians, fearing that the sovereignty of Russia's neighbors would be violated. And we see today that these concerns were fully justified. This sketch of a painting was never meant to be what we see here, on display as an end in itself. But unlike the other paintings that show presidents sitting in their confident completion, here we have a lesson. If you feel like you're in the middle of something, a bit lost in your efforts to do big things, if you are embarking in a new stage of life and feel daunted by unknowns, if you feel restless, shaking up your routine, take heart. You are among the greats who have also had to pass through the relentless middle, like the artist here, Douglas Chander, and FDR himself. Follow their lead. Keep scribbling, sketching, fumbling, and forging. This is how we humans progress.